What's up guys, it's Mike for Sim Racing 604 and welcome back to Automobilista 2 and another round of exciting updates for this sim. So in addition to the new Racing USA DLC content, which will be the primary focus of this video, there's also a number of major updates, and I'll link to the full change logs from recent builds in the description. But some of the major changes include the addition of real weather, and not only can you choose conditions to match the current weather at a given track, there's also 40 years of historic weather for the historic tracks. That's pretty cool. Plus, the live track functionality has been enhanced in this latest build, and you can now choose between various levels of how rubbered in you want the track to be when you start your session. Again, very cool. Players can also access races now in multiplayer that they don't own the DLC for, which should hopefully increase the online popularity of this game. And there's also been several significant changes to the driving physics in AMS2, which, as most of you are aware, is the most contentious part of this title. Some people love it, some people hate it. Do what you want with it. I enjoy it, you might not, but let's discuss the new GTE cars. And we have 3 new cars as part of the GTE class: the BMW M8 GTE, the Chevrolet Corvette C8R, and the Porsche 911 RSR. And we'll start with the BMW and cue the big boy memes. Yes, this car is large, including the rear wing. It's about a foot longer than either of the other 2 cars and about 20 centimeters or 8 inches wider as well. And 8 inches might not sound too significant over the total breadth of a car, but consider how close we put these cars to walls at circuits like, I don't know, Long Beach. It's big, it feels big, and I'd make the case that this is the most stable and predictable of the 3 new cars, and probably the best bet for those not comfortable with driving GTE cars. And next is the Chevy C8R, the race version of the first Corvette to feature mid-engine layout. In my opinion, this is the best looking car on the GTE roster. We have seen this car in 2 other sims in official release so far, with it being featured previously in R-Factor 2 and iRacing. In Automobilista 2, the car is the fastest of the 3 cars if you can get it connected to the road. It's been tamed a lot through beta development, and I've been following that, but it still carries the risk of oversteer on corner exit if you're too fast and loose with your throttle application. The external sounds are pretty awesome. The internal sounds sound a bit muted to me, but all in all, this is a really fun car and a great addition to the title. And last among the GTE cars, the Porsche 911 RSR. This car, and Porsche in general, has become ubiquitous in the world of racing games and racing sims at this point. It's hard to imagine that half a decade ago EA held the exclusive rights to Porsche in games. But anyway, AMS2 now joins most other modern racing titles in featuring the RSR, and I'm happy to announce that Racin has absolutely nailed it. In fact, I'll say that this is my favorite car in the game. If you're new to this sim and coming over from Assetto Corsa or R-Factor 2, give this car a try first. It's a great version of a great car. The RSR has the opposite problem to the C8R in that your difficulties in driving will be on corner entry rather than exit. The track out with this car can effectively be as aggressive as you dare to be, thanks to the weight over the rear axle, but the car doesn't have ABS and you'll need to be somewhat cautious while braking. Slam on the brakes too hard and the car's weight will swing from the rear and destabilize the car, but rather than making this car difficult or unruly to drive, it just kind of adds character to the RSR and keeps you honest while driving. This car is fantastic, and also it sounds like this. moving on now to the tracks that are part of this Racing USA DLC, and we'll start off with Daytona. We currently have two road versions of Daytona, the standard road version and then also the NASCAR version with the added chicane, and it's been hinted that the oval version and some cars to race at the oval version, possibly NASCAR, possibly IndyCar, will be coming in future editions of the Racing USA DLC. We'll have to wait and see what plays out with that, but for now we have two excellent versions of the Daytona road course. It's absolutely gorgeous and by all accounts a great version of the circuit. Presumably this is a conversion of the Project Cars 2 version of the same course, which was scanned for accuracy based on the real circuit, and Daytona ranks high on my list of the best circuits in the world. The infield section is wide and allows for lots of overtaking. The circuit transitions back to the oval course and is flat out for much of the lap. Daytona has both one of my least favorite and one of my favorite corners in racing. Turn 1 is a mean and nasty affair, but the bus stop chicane far later in the lap just feels amazing when you nail it. Let's put a GoPro on the C8R and go for a lap. Next up in alphabetical order, and probably the most anticipated track addition to this title, is Long Beach. Like Daytona, the circuit likely utilizes the scan data from PC2 for accuracy, and also like Daytona, this is a course that looks great at night thanks to many iconic trackside features. This is a street circuit, so concrete barriers flank you throughout your whole lap, and your focus will be control and not letting the car get loose enough to tag a wall, but that's no small feat with a course this bumpy. Sebring is a track I most associate with being bumpy, but this version of Long Beach is right up there. There's plenty of corners where that bumpiness is enough to unsettle the car mid-corner, forcing you to counter steer and fight your way back into control. The fountain is the showpiece of this track, but the whole lap at Long Beach is a non-stop showcase of interesting buildings and bridges. It's a really great track and an outstanding addition to AMS2. Well done on this one, Reza. Let's go for a lap on the Porsche. And lastly, the third of the 3 tracks to be added. This is, of course, Laguna Seca. Like the Porsche RSR, this track is pretty much everywhere in sim racing at this point. We have countless titles over many years, which provide us with a basis for comparison to the Automobilista 2 version we have, and this one is stacking up nicely. Dramatic elevation change is the biggest feature of this circuit, not only in the iconic corkscrew complex, but also in just about every other section of the circuit. Even the start-finish straight is uphill until just past the pit boxes, and then it falls away beautifully into a tight hairpin. The middle sector has a great flow, and it leads into one of my favorite corners in all of racing, the uphill, blind, and very fast turn 6. You choose a line, watch your turn in and brake markers, and go full send. I absolutely love that corner. Let's lap Laguna Seca. So that is going to do it for my preview of version 1.2 of Automobilista 2, expected to be made public on May 31st, as well as my first look at the Racin USA DLC, at least part 1 of the Racin USA DLC for AMS2. It is all excellent. Some of you may be wondering, where is the Daytona prototypes? They were not yet released into beta when I was recording this video, so unfortunately I can't include it, but I will try and cover it in an upcoming video. Thank you to Reza for letting me get this video out a little bit early for this update, and thank you to you for watching, and we will see you next time.